basketball, but sad and depressing as always.
Syracuse.
Yeah.
Tough. There's not much to talk about here. They don't seem to care. They aren't playing for Boeheim. They're not playing hard. They're embarrassing all the alumni and current student body, and they're not going to be a part of March Madness again.
I don't know about the accuracy of this. I saw a tweet that apparently somebody was down, whether it was along the Marshall Street run or wherever, one of the bar runs down there. They walked in to try and get the game out on the TV, and the bartenders didn't even know Syracuse was playing.
Oh, really?
Like, if that is accurate, that's one indictment that is on the program as it sits right now.
Well, you start to get apathetic when you lose so much because you want to follow a winning program, but was you going to get excited about that Pitt game after what happened against Clemson?
Right? No, I didn't care about it.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't matter if they won or lost at this point. It's gonna maybe when the ACC tournament starts, and if they win a game or two, you might start to get some hope back. But I mean, it's too. I'm already looking at next year. We got the 7'2" recruit,
right?
But it's just disappointing. And like 2 seasons ago, it started with some terrible early season losses that put us outside looking in, and then every opportunity they had to build on a winning streak, they fell flat. Not only, you lose a close game to like UNC, and then you come back and get throttled by Virginia Tech or Clemson or Pitt, or it doesn't make sense. But the tough part about watching these recent games is that they're getting beat back on defense. They're just not playing hard. Yeah,
I agree. I agree with that. I think what gets lost in sight of this at this point is, and the part that I don't like about this is I still live by the fact that I still do believe this is one of the most pure athletic teams I've seen out of the program. And now they just, you're right. I mean, they're just being an amoeba out there. They're just kind of going with wherever the
jacking up shots. And so, like you watch all these, it's hard to figure out because you watch all these other college basketball games across the country.
Another thing too, like, why is he doing another lineup adjustment at this point? Like, you started Justin Taylor, who, like, if you're going to start him, I think that ship sailed probably at least 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think that lends to people not wanting to play. And now all of a sudden Benny Williams is back scoring 24 points, so it's like, why do you jerk around with these guys? Right. Like, you should be able to know if they can play or not and stick with them through thick and thin. Don't, play with their emotions. These are teenagers.
Yeah.
But I watch other college basketball games, and so, a good example would be UCLA Colorado yesterday. Colorado is a 500 team. UCLA is a 4-loss team and a national title contender. And it goes right down to the wire. Both teams playing really hard. And then I don't know exactly what it is that Syracuse needs to do to get back to that level of being relevant again. It's not a matter of lack of talent.
No.
A lot of people would say it's the Boeheim kids and the Joe Girard. You heard it. Buddy Boeheim obviously belonged, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Jimmy didn't. Maybe he's not a D1 major conference starter.
Yeah, but for that, I thought when he kind of went into that 6-7 man role, I thought he did really well.
Yeah, I think the Jimmy Boeheim was a bench player that could come off and
Buddy. I mean, Buddy. If you want the perfect example, of Buddy right now is the fact he's averaging 20-something points a game right now in the G League. Like, he's like, and to the point that the Pistons are, I think, giving him a 10-day right now.
Yeah.
So
here's a question from outside perspective. How much of, we see in Boeheim's pressers that get a little curmudgeon-y. How much of that energy are players seeing day in and day out and just losing interest in, especially as things tend, like, this season obviously has not gone to plan.
Yeah.
You're out of the hunt at this point, way out of the hunt. So is that energy just kind of like deflating the the team, and the team just simply doesn't want to play?
Well, I don't think Boeheim
point?
is involved in practices as closely. I mean, this is just a guess because I'm not there, but I think he, over the past several years, has deferred more to his assistants in running practices and being less involved, certainly than he was in like the 1980s or 90s. But I don't think that anything that goes on in his press conferences would lead to that, because he's always been like that. That's his press conferences have been like that since the beginning of time. But yeah, he calls kids out. I mean, I can see someone like Benny Williams listening to a press conference about something Boeheim says to him and getting upset about it. But it's hard to say, going to the inner workings. Boeheim's former players tend to really like him.
Yeah.
But that's pre Carmelo Anthony era players, I think. I mean, I don't know how many players that played for Boeheim in the last 5 to 10 years are going to, be excited to come back and hang out with them.
I mean, it seems like not many have come around. You mentioned, I think 2003 is a good, waypoint in this, right? Is we do see Carmelo Anthony come back around. And I think this year's a little bit different, right? Because it's the 20th anniversary of the championship team. So they're doing a lot more with it. But Melo still comes around. You still have guys from that team kind of lingering around a little bit. But post that, the guys who are still around, like Diefendorf, stuff like that, aren't really within the program anymore. They kind of are off.
Well, Diefendorf isn't.
They're doing their own. They're doing their own thing. Like really be honest, you see a lot of these guys now do the Boeheim's Army in the basketball tournament thing, and that's where they kind of all are grouped up together. They don't do a lot. I think it goes back to the evolution of kind of the players and playing and how we've seen athletics evolve really the past 30-ish years.
I mean, there's probably also a relatability factor, no? Like right. How does a 80-year-old Boeheim relate to players that are, 17 to 20 years old? I think that's the biggest problem.
I think that's probably if you're tearing everything away, that's the heart of the issue probably, is he's a little out of touch. But, if you could do it through your assistants, which I do think the players relate well to, like Adrian Autry or Jerry McNamara, Griffin. But yeah, it's tough to have the fire that you had when you were younger if you're Jim Boeheim, and certainly he does not like the state of the game, the pay-per play stuff, and the transfer portal and all that. So if you're not going to embrace it, you're probably not going to be successful.
I think it's more that I don't know if it's maybe so much an age thing, because especially I think basketball is really the good point on this, is if you have a coach who kind of understands, I think, the players better and what they need and what they kind of do better with, they tend to do better. And that, to me, it doesn't matter the age. I mean, kind of sticks out to me has always been in a way. And it's a little bit different because I think at the time they were a bit closer, but Pat Riley is a really good example of that from his coaching time. I mean, obviously he started on the younger side when he was coaching, more so than it is now. But, I think the coaches who kind of, understand what their players need and from through the eras have done a little bit better. I mean,
he's not checking that box anymore.
No, and I think it's probably just him being kind of stuck in his own way. And I mean, see what's next. See what's next for the program. Yeah, and then even a guy like John Calipari at Kentucky is kind of dealing with this now. Like, he's kind of gone out of touch, and he was the guy who was kind of at the forefront of all this through a number of years, kind of being the quote unquote player's coach, where it's like, hey, come here, do the one and done, and get out. Like,
Boeheim doesn't have any more contemporaries now that Krzyzewski retired, and Rick Pitino has kind of been relegated to lower class, and Calipari's much younger than Boeheim, but he's kind of a contemporary from the old days, I guess. But
I'll say, if anything, it's Mike Bray, and even then, he's probably not even. I mean, he's done at Notre Dame. He wants to coach somewhere, but he's done at Notre Dame.
Yeah, and he's also younger. They just happen to be Big East throwbacks, I guess. But still, Mike Bray's got to be at least 10, 12 years younger than 15 years younger than Boeheim.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's